just let me bend this one out, yeah? I didn't plan to do any videos today. Doesn't mean that I'm not thinking about them nonetheless, and I'm still there. I'm not on pause mode. I'm just inward as opposed to outward. Sometimes I'm physical, and more often than not, I'm living in quantum ratio anyway. So whatever floats your boat. But think about this: a socialistic, democratic republic. Is there anything that's ever been like that you know about? Sounds really weird, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Does it sound like a
I've heard
two-faced situation?
I heard socialistic republic and I heard democratic republic, but
And
I
then
didn't
even
hear it
still,
both.
there's a different system here, but still, let's just focus on this. And any system anywhere, in whichever function that you come from, has this sort of gradient, right? So why is socialism something? And should the socialism part of it be about a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So we're gonna break this apart. So if you've got rocket technology, yes, and it is owned by state or higher ups, let's say, or a group of individuals, common people, House of Commons, whatever it may be, king, country, and all the rest, and you got the rockets that are owned by them, houses, the building of and ownership of, so social housing, but built in a way that these houses, one, are built to last, and two, are freaking endurable. Anything short of being covered in once the house is built, it then gets pasted with I don't know what the word would be, like, you get some of that transparent epoxy resin type stuff that you can get these days, and you can coat it all over the floor and it stops damp and everything else from coming through. It's transparent. You can touch it. I can't remember what it is. It's a type of resin. It's transparent resin. Paste the whole inside, outside, floors, ceiling, and everything with this epoxy resin type thing, yeah? So any tenant that comes in, you can do this in a number of ways. Lino everything, that's one way to do it, but that could be quite expensive. But even still, it can work. That one's less permanent. It coats the walls, the ceiling, the floors, everything. To the point where that when a tenant moves out, maybe they were a bit messy, there's an insurance on top of this, a type of insurance policy. The insurance policy will be paid if you're in the building and nothing happens. However, if you destroy it, break all the radiators, bust the boiler off the wall, or anything else like that, there's a lot of things that could be done that you could wreck a house, yeah? Break a toilet? I don't know. I've heard some stories. I don't know how true it actually is. That insurance premium is going to follow you, whether you work or whether you claim. You will pay that premium to set right the things that you did, the same way that tax is taken from your working wage anyway. This will follow you. This will be the agreement. This will be one of those things that is like the iron fist. You have freedom to do pretty much what you want. However, break it, and the premium to fix that is coming out of your pocket. You will pay for all of the damages, but it comes from your wage or whatever type of income you have. Automatically taken before you get it, and it will pay for any damages that you get. I mean, I think that would be a better way of existing, wouldn't you think? Every time you pay your rent, you pay back into the pot, yes? That type of pot that you have.
Yeah.
Also known as a tax pot, and everyone's like, oh my god, it's taxed. Well, it should be called the benefits pot that benefits everybody. If you manage to convert all houses into a type of social housing, anyway, this backs on, but that's one type of housing with a good insurance policy to it. You pay the premium. The houses are built with a sort of protective barrier on the inside. At worst, if it gets moldy, you'll know if it's the house. Peel back an area. Is it behind the wall? No, it's not. It's on the liner. Okay, then. This seems like perhaps you're not ventilating or XYZ. I think that ventilation system should be changed as well. It should be in-house. It should take a volume of air from the house, dehumidify it, and then pump it back into the house. Wait for a bit, lift it out, dehumidify it, and then throw it back into the house. I think this would be far more beneficial than extract a fan on, cold air comes in, it all pours out, heat goes straight out into environment. If you could see the way heat moves inside a house and cold air, you'd be fascinated. You've got to be able to see it as a smoke. And then when it starts to heat up, it starts to sort of pool in the area. It depends where you get the smoke. If you could color it, if you could color the cold air and you could color the hot air, and when you turn an extractor fan on, this lifts up all of your heat out of your house, which could be a waste of fuel. Depends how you look at it. Maybe, maybe not. So you'd have to look at that design and build houses around it and see if you can put these in. If you do have lino and you have a messy tenant, and at the very least, they've had children. Look, I just went in the potty. Whoops! As kids do, right? They're proud when they first use the toilet or whatnot, you know? Accidents are going to happen, and everyone is not perfect. We just got to square with it. And the people are going to make mistakes in this way and maybe not clean it up properly. And then it's out with the old carpet. How would you put a carpet on a floor that's been... Well, you have to then get in touch with carpet companies and say, look, cool for you to make carpets, but what we do need is, can you put on certain types of carpet a strip of Velcro that matches these, and these? The ratio of the Velcro is on the floor inside the house. You measure it. It's this long from here, the widest point is from here, the Velcro will need to follow here. Can we get these carpets so they're cut to the room? Whether that is incorporating AI system, again, it's something else. Take a picture and it snaps an empty room and it knows the measurements. Mm-hmm. I mean, put a laser in, whatever it may be. Do it at home yourself. Get a little kit. Buy it once, it comes with you for life. Or you know the house. If you've just built it, you can put these up into a database. We've got a range of carpets. What room do you want? Room 1, room 2, room 3, room 4, room 5. That would be lino. This would be this would be this. And all you need to do is just press, I want this one for this room. Mm-hmm. It knows the size. It knows where the Velcro is. Puts and makes your carpet, cuts it to size. No offcuts, no this arsing around. And you can just get it, roll it out, and there it is. So, can you peel this back when a tenant leaves and wash the wall and then run it with a squeegee everywhere? As simple as that. The bits that you missed, quick blue paper towel, in, done, clean, lovely, nice smelly in there. It smells fresh, wonderful. And then that's it, next tenant. I mean, you're building a house, it come out with social pots, so it should be built to last. Secondly is, you want to get as many people in there as you possibly can. If the building is going to stand for the next 50 years to 100 years, well, then you want the interior to last just as long. You know, wooden floors, they're great, they're warm, they're nice, but they also absorb an awful lot of moisture. And then you get stains, and then you get this, then you get smell, then you get bacteria, and then rah-de-rah. But I mean, to build this, it can't be built to be broken. So it would have to be in a type of respect. What about if you're going to go and get some solar panels or wind turbine or whatever it is? You're going to convert your back garden into whatever it may be. Who cares? Wonderful, because we'll save the fuel. It depends on what type of power stations you've got. Could you imagine now rockets that are being built, but you've also made a generator out of rocket technology that can also power the grid for a bit? Mm-hmm. Again, should this be owned by a new system? So we could say a new government, yes? Mm-hmm. So we could say a .gov. Mm-hmm. They'll own the rockets, they will build the houses. This will come from a premium that you pay off of when you work or whatever else is taxed. But you pay into a pot that then takes care of the rockets, which then takes care of the houses, and then it takes care of energy. Mm-hmm. If you're taking care of the energy as well, you can get it at a good price. Yeah. You're in control of whether it's renewable. You're in control of what happens next because it comes out of the pot. No one's going to try and play takedown with energy companies where they start upping the price, upping the price, upping the price, upping the price until everything is nearly up the price. And then you've got a term and condition here, charge there, charge it. Yeah. It's a disaster waiting to happen, where eventually people will just have enough of the system. Now, if you're working and you've got one of these houses and you've got the energy that comes from .gov and you've got a rocket, and it's not as expensive as what the current market is, it is realistic affordability. It's got to be not. We call things social housing and there's nothing social about it. I think it's just an agenda to give socialism a bad name. So class it socialism and then make people regret ever liking anything social.
Yeah.
Because then this causes you to hate the thing that built it, which was tax. But if it's no longer owned by the tax pot, then there could be an agenda that businesses have that makes you hate. Do you understand that? Psychology is not someone coming up to you trying to use reverse tactics on you. It doesn't work like that. It works in a way where they will label something good when it isn't.
Yeah.
Do you get what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So reverse psychology is we're going to class it as social housing.
Social housing.
And then we're going to punish the people that are in this social housing with rules that go against your freedom.
Yeah.
Some of these rules are ridiculous, absolutely pathetic. And for the reasons why they do it, again, not good. The rents where they call it affordable housing means that it isn't affordable. When people are stating something, and you automatically link socialism to hatred. Look, we tried that with the social housing, and look where that fucking got us. Fuck your tax. Fuck all of...
Yeah. And then rumors about people who take some universal credit and take thousands and thousands of
But again, if I owned a TV program, if I wanted to make people stop claiming benefits, what do? Well, if I tell people to stop benefits, people start dying in hospitals, it looks really bad, and people have been made fit for work. Or do I tell the public, you see, that's manipulation, right? That backfired, so that didn't work very well. So what's the next agenda? And I'm not saying that it's these individuals doing it. It's if there's a war going on and you don't know about it between corps and govs, you just wouldn't be aware of it. It would be so subtle, and no one's going to tell you whether there is or isn't. You're just going to live in this sort of... Somewhere along the line, you need to look at what is being done and take a step back and say, can I better this? Can this be bettered in a way that who gets it, who's going to look after it, and then how do we maintain it to no longer get corrupted? So, you know, there's a lot of things. Affordable housing is one of them that they'll state, and they state it. And they might follow it off with, well, you know who you can blame, don't you? Well, it's really got nothing to do with them. If I've got a company like yours, it's got nothing to do with... They're not going to... Because there's secrets there, right? So... And then there's lacking of responsibility, whereas something that was a pot, every time you work and you get in this and you pay your rent, and it's not like over the top, but it's not free. It's somewhere in that ratio that it's not like, so if this house is like, what, 780 quid a month, and that's affordable, you move from a property that's 400 and it's like for like. One's 400 a month and one is 780. Would you call the one that was affordable the 400 a month, or the one that's 780 affordable?
No, the first one is affordable.
So the 400 is affordable. But if I label it social housing and say affordable rent, 780 is not affordable.
No.
So somewhere in between this ratio is a happy medium, right? But where if it was chipped down, so if it was owned by the tax pot, the tax built these houses that were made for, you know, to last. To give you a good house with a good price, with good energy, with good water, with good so on and so on. And it wasn't for 780, but it wasn't for 400. So let's say if it was for 450. Yes? It's not going to pay for the house after the house has already been built, or if you take back social housing and it goes back into the pot, which personally I think it should be. And these houses are then rented out at 450 every time you pay your rent. And if it's an old house, and it's been modified to be, gets checked, surveyed. Right, no mold, no damp, no leaks, no this. Okay, right, okay, well, let's put this new thing in. Let's get that air sorted. Okay, how can we do the walls right? We'll lino, or we'll put this resin over. Okay, outside, external, anything. No, bricks is integral. Right, gutters, yes, check. All done, follow a checklist. All right, it's all checked off. This is pretty good.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to someone being homeless or whatever else, it goes into whatever .gov, maybe DWP, and they look and go, okay, we've got this particular property, come and have a look, if it goes through that type of system. And the person has a look around with the checklist with you. Gutters seem to be all right? Yes. Okay, this seems to be all okay. Look, if we leave, we're going to leave this sheet with you. If you notice any of these things on here that are a bit to miss, or that we've missed anything, please let us know. Suggestions are always welcome. And then you go, and the person's paying $450, and it's an old house that's been standing 60 years or whatever it may have been. It's already bought itself. That $450 goes into the pot. Not to sit there, not to make people rich, not for people to get fat off of it, but that is to be an investment into what? Your nation. Your nation being what? Rockets, more houses, energy, especially if you're making rockets, and education. Prison systems, I think they need looking at. I really think they need looking at. I mean, to open up all the prisons and let everybody out defeats the object of ever putting anyone in prison, and depends on what they've done. I think rehabilitation is a much more better step forward than locking someone up and forgetting about them.
Yeah.
Sure, they may have got down on their luck. Maybe they fucked up. Maybe they've got they see the error of their ways after a few. There can be a lot of reasons. The people that really want to change will come to that sort of road when they're ready. And I think that is the best part of rehabilitation. No one can be forced to be rehabilitated. They've got to want it. Depends who you are and what you did. Certain things, I understand that this could never work, but in certain aspects, okay, they may not be able to make money, but can they do this, this, and this?
In many
Can
cases.
they work with part robots? What can this do? Can this put back into rocket technology? Can this be put back into, okay, you're not going to trust them with everything, but a few bits here and there.
Small stuff.
Small stuff.
Yeah.
And that then takes the burden off the pot. So if you think about it, if each prisoner is costing this much per month to stay there, then should they A, have a basic prison, B, have a second prison that moves up into, if you want to work, you know, this many years, are you ready? I'm ready. It's a bit more than asking for probation or whatever it may be. I don't know what it's called in all the cases, you know, parole,
Yeah.
or whatever. It depends what you did.
Yeah.
Then you might be able to start walking your way out and rightening your debt by, because you've got a debt to society, you've got a debt to whoever you targeted, and you've also got a debt to the people that put you in this place, which they spared your life. Think about it. May have taken your life, but have also spared your life, and have given you a small shot of redemption if this works. So they go into one prison that is basic. It's not great, but it's not bad either. It's not cruel, but it's not great. You got prison number 2, the ones that really want to get out of that cesspit and really want to right their wrongs, and have an opportunity to walk into a type of work environment in the prison. This is going to need to be monitored, it's going to need to be staffed and different things like that. Yes, I understand that. Thermal imaging or whatever to check to make sure no one's trying to sneak out. I mean, that puts you back to prison number 1. And if 0, but still, if it was done in 5 stages, 6 stages, you've got the first one that is, it's basic. It's what you expect a prison to be. Next prison up, you sort of got to give and you get. You're not going to get money, but if you give a bit of your time in order to right your wrong, you are balancing not only the debt of society to keep you in there, but you're also working your way. So if there was rocket technology put in there, robotics or whatever, and they were helped to do that sort of thing, or whatever it may be, peel some food, I don't know, think about it. And they started to do that where it wouldn't cost society to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of rightening they're not going to be paid for it. But whatever is sold off the produce, it could be looked at as slave labor, goes back into the pot that is, after all, holding them for free. So the prison system isn't looking like a get out of jail free card or get out of society free card. Then you start working and you're not causing a nuisance in prison 1. That's building up a little bit of trust. You can move to prison number 2. It's a little bit better than prison number 1, and it's shit sight better than prison number 0, ground 0, let's say. You get a bit more trust and a bit more time goes by, and you're starting to prove that you are able to function in this. And perhaps it's looking like you just got down on your luck and you're really, some people are going to fail at that point and do something which puts them straight back there, and you'll have to climb again. A bit like Snakes and Ladders, but with prisons.
Yeah.
And should there be more rewards the more you climb up? Not 100% rewards, but let's look at what some of these prisons do have to combat boredom and stuff, Should they be getting that in prison 1? No.
Mm-hmm.
Should they be getting that in prison 2? Perhaps not. Prison 3? Well, yes, maybe. The doors sort of open up as you begin to level, and I think this sort of teaches you something.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you've done X amount of years worth of doing that, can you look at time scale? Has there been something that has helped the victims? Is there anything that can be done to rectify that? Now, maybe not directly, but indirectly, you're helping a cause. Maybe reach space. Maybe a nation that hasn't got rocket technology starts to find something, starts to move up. And it was with your help and society's help and this, that, and the other, and you got down on your luck, but you proved that it was just a moment lapse of concentration. So you would upgrade the prison process in that. I think that makes for a better prison, and it also makes for a better taxing system. And then we'll have to move over to water. Again, should this be corporated? Probably not at all, to be honest. I wouldn't. You see, these types of things here, if you want to do it, fine. But if it was built from this pot, no. Iron Fist. And it sounds weird, doesn't it, to hold on to all of these things. But at the end of the day, you can do what you want. And we can give you that blessing to do what you want, because these structures are what support people. You don't invest in people, you invest in what supports people. This supports people. And I think that it helps with a better control on what money is being utilized, because can you make employers pay more money? Really? If it's at minimum wage and they're all proud to pay the minimum? Somewhere along the line, you need to make a society that it begins to work for everybody. And I think that these people will come around. I mean, Facebook was given for free, isn't it? I mean, that is something, right? That is impressive. So you understand that that's a free company in the beginning, and advertising, I think, is what helped it. And then look at what they've utilized to make the VR
money
and Meta platforms and
for the owners, and it can be used by the users.
I think it's quite a wonderful thing, to be honest. That is an asset and a half. Still, that's capable to support you to do these sort of things, but could you have done it if you had all of this expense to pay in private pockets? I don't think it would be possible. Honestly, I don't. I hear some people that start businesses in garages whilst they live with their parents. That makes sense. Because what are the parents doing? They're sort of supporting you, aren't they? They're getting the groceries, maybe. They're functioning so you can function, to then be able to stand on your own 2 feet, whatever your passion may be. And I think that a society should be a bit more this way, because that's the only way we're going to achieve people to really excel in what they are. And I think this is important to make people happy. You see, when you've got the houses and different things like that, owning rail tracks, there's a lot of rail tracks. There's so much unused potential in rail tracks. You notice those ones that veer off and they don't seem to... These would make great businesses. These would make great houses. These would make great for energy nearby. I mean, these you can do a lot with these rail tracks, and yeah, it gets people from one place to another if they want to. Maybe they'll take the car. You've still got the car, but you've also got the option of rail travel from one town to another. And what's more, it drops you off on your doorstep. I mean, shit, me, that's got to be something. And then if people are coming and going in train stations, and you've got businesses that sort of are either side or slightly off the track, you notice the ones that are here. You sort of got the main track, and then you got that bit that branches off to that.
Yeah.
Could you imagine lining that either side with shops? Small businesses.
And that could be built at some stations because it's on the side.
It's out of the way.
Well,
yeah,
just the short
yeah.
one, yeah.
So you got like small businesses in that, yeah?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they buckle at the frickin' seams. And it seems to be, not all corporations, but do they have fair opportunity? And I don't think so. I don't know. I think they're on their knees on the whims of whoever owns the shops in a town, right?
Yeah.
If they decide to hike up the rent, it's either hike your prices up inside the store, which bites your customers, and or it's go bust because you can't up the prices because you might lose your customer base.
Yeah.
And then who's in control of that? You or somebody else? And then we're already seeing that we've got a iron fist, but it's not. Is it fair? Is it challenged? Can it be argued back with? Can it be negotiated? If you don't like the ruling in some of these houses, let's say, can you argue it? I think you've answered me 15 times, yeah. So you can't really... That's not freedom. And you can't then say, oh, I don't know if I... Whereas it could be, what idea do you have? I just want to put a few in the garden. Oh, maybe I want to put a few on the roof. Can we pay for that? But you're going to give it to us out the rent. If you forfeit on the rent, the premium's coming for you. That seems fair enough because, you know, we need it done properly because someone else can benefit from that. We're more than happy to facilitate that. Sign here. I think that makes it a bit more flexible, doesn't it? It puts a bit... That's socialism, isn't it? Can you ask questions in a social? Do you have the right to protest, or is it, that's it?
I think you can. It's more about...
So that would be democratic?
Yeah, that would be democratic. Socialism, you more divide the resources among people. Some of them can easily afford that, and some of them cannot. And you
okay, so that
it.
is socialism,
yeah.
And then democratic would be the approach to be able to say, I don't
freely vote, agree, disagree, debate. Yeah, you could have both. Socialism and democracy. Yeah, you can have both.
Because you do notice those things that come through from some of these companies. Please give us your opinion. We're going to make it so it's a competition and you could win £250,000. Yeah, all right then. Just tell us how we do. And some of them you tell them, and it's that's not a place to have your opinion, is it? Really? If it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not transparent, is it?
No.
Whereas it can make a little bit comprehensive sort of side page from your sort of new.gov where go to it. You know, it brings such a breath of fresh air that this many of our people said this, this, and this inside the houses. Do you agree that we should implement this? And this should be a moving theme for us. Everyone says yes. Thank you very much. Very good. This becomes the stuff that is democratic. But the stuff that isn't democratic is when they say, can we buy your houses? No. Can we take the energy off of you? No. Can we buy the water company? Go build your own? No. This stuff should be held. Why? Because what can that tax pot go on to be? Is it guaranteed for your generation to come? Okay, so if you've got the rockets, okay, and then you've got the education, yeah? You see, education is an interesting thing. When you combine education with future rocketry and we take computer programming and different things like that. Is it C++?
Yeah, that's one of them, yeah.
So, I mean, that is incredible. So different types of robotics, different types of this, and this. You've got game companies, which again, perhaps maybe they might not be able to go and build a whole load of rockets and technology like that. But if you, as a nation, are building these and they get like widespread, then you've got more opportunity. And what's that opportunity to do? Well, you can send a rocket up with a load of stuff that the kids have built that are then going to grow into technologies which then could open the avenue for a type of Facebook or Google or whatever the small tech companies are here. I just not actually researched them, but still I know there are some that are coming. These then have an opportunity, working with the kids to make some stuff as well that they all get a chance to, because I think that's where it goes. I think the future goes that way. You sort of got to play around with it first. Mooncraft. Do you understand that rather than Minecraft, it's Mooncraft? Your bot's there doing whatever it needs. I mean, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? Or you have them remote control vessels that are going exploring the ocean and whatnot, making discoveries. I think that can be quite fun. And again, it changes the education, doesn't it? It gets it going, it gets it maneuvering. What about laws? See, this is the next bit, right? So you could say that you could have a democratic society, yes? Yeah. But can you have a true democratic society? What if people then say, wait, we think we want to make murder illegal? Is this something in the water? Is this something wrong? You'd have to say, no. Not going to happen. Do you get that? That there are some things that are optional to vote for, and then there are some things that just shouldn't be voted for. Yeah? Because it just doesn't make sense to do it. If you want to put something into your house, it's a quick asking for, yes, we can put your pictures in, your ideas, this, and this. If it isn't available on the market, can it open up a doorway for you into a system that's integrated into this? You sort of tell it what you want to do. Maybe you've drawn some diagrams or whatnot, who knows? And you stick it into this modeling, and then it's like, this could actually be the next best thing. Think of us as your Dragon's Den computer program type. Yeah. Everyone's got phones. I mean, to imagine that, you just pop it in there and it's like, this could be an innovation. Would you like us to scale you? Would you like to ever do a business? No? No thanks. Well, what would you be satisfied to get for this, to give it to somebody else? Maybe you don't want to do it. Maybe you can give it freely. Maybe you're in a position where you can give this to start someone up on a business that, good at running it, but just haven't had the quantum moment yet, That makes a fair society, doesn't it? I mean, if it's going to be beneficial to people. Or it's putting in a socket or an access point, rah-de-rah, that doesn't damage your house terribly much. Can be taken out. Oh my God, it's just a brick, right? Wherever it's putting a slosh on a door frame, whatever it may be. Any way to do it. I mean, when you start to build these up, the main structure that supports you and everybody else needs governing in some way. It's going to need protecting. Oh, yes, it will, because people may try and get into these systems to try and bring them down. And then that's where you're going to need a lot of eyes and ears to prevent that from happening. Sabotage. Right. Cost of living becomes a thing of the past. If you were to give jobs in this, they'd be comprehensive. And it's anybody else that's making a business. Where do their legions lie in that? Do you want to be incorporated into our structure type thing, being our structure? Or do you want to stand alone? Because I think standing alone is a shit thing in this world, isn't it? It's who do you trust? But then why would you need to fear anything? Do you get what I mean? If you are incorporated into this, then you've got nothing to fear. The system stands integral for itself. It's there to help people. And then if you've got health, you've then got police, courts, prisons. All of these things start working for the system, which means for the people. It needs governing. Either way, this shit's going to need governing, and it's also going to need protecting. Because people are going to try and infiltrate it, and that is where you're going to need an awful amount of protection in that. And people remain vigilant as well. You know, we seem to have come from a Victorian time, right, where there was a lot of companies not giving anything to people. People were homeless on the streets and whatnot. And then it sort of came a long way. Then it echoed and it bounced back, and we're starting to move back into the Victorian era. And now, what is that change? Well, the socialism is the only thing I can really see here where it got better. It got better. Well, there was people were building water. There was fuel. Energy companies were pretty much owned. Houses. And then it goes over to privatization. And then rather than it supplying a tax pot, which it did so quite nicely, it's then pumping into people's pockets. And their only agenda, not all, but most, is to make themselves rich. And then $1 million ain't enough.
You need
And then
billion,
$1 billion ain't enough.
then you need trillion.
Then you need $1 trillion, and then there's competition on who's got the most money. And
You get more trillions, and you have the charts each year, probably several times during the year, who's on the top and how it's moving.
And that may appear to be a great thing. And if I was ever in a situation like that, it's hard to know how you would respond. But I just wonder what it is that makes, I don't know, I don't know if I could do it, but still, as long as I had enough to support me within my needs and within my means, that's a fucking achievement, right? That's a goal, right? Anything more than that, and it becomes a waste. Because what am I going to do with it? And put it in a bank? What can I do with that money exactly? Yes, I could probably spend it on ideas and go off to do these different ideas, but they would explode again, and then they'd explode again. It'd be like Jack in a freaking beanstalk, planting beans with this cash, and it's sort of... Yeah, not every investment is going to solidify, but... And I think that while you're making my life, if I'm looking at that and I get a large amount of cash and I've got billions and shit, I may be making my life, but who else's life am I taking from in order to hold on to that?
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it?
And if I don't invest in anything, or maybe I invest in shares, but I'm not investing into a tax pot, which can then go on to better the lives of people who are struggling, other children, education system, start-up business plans. If it's got water or their energy companies and I invest into this, I can invest into better renewable energies. If they start building rockets, I can invest in building rocket, and then that's a legacy, isn't it? And it's your name, someone else's name, and everybody's name. It's like everyone just graffitiing the rocket. You know, the first one that goes up, and then what does that look like by making that small investment now in 50 years' time? If you keep that momentum going into that investment pocket, that's rockets in every single nation, in every single county. Then if you dot this across the world, and then you would look at it as a wiser way, look, we're going to be utilizing this much oxygen, we're going to be utilizing and converting that into this much carbon, we're going to be using this much, let's say, metal, plastics, rubber, we're going to be creating a debt to the earth. Now, what does that look like? It looks like 50 tons of something or other, all told. Then the objective of that rocket program is to bring back that 50 tons. Well, we use this much oxygen. How can I balance this out? Well, you could grab some carbon from another planet, convert it with nature up in space, and then bring the oxygen back down. Knock out the carbon, take it back up. Why would you? But that's just an idea. You've used this much metal. So in constructing your rocket, let's say it's made out of metal, or the modules are made out of plastic or metal or whatever it may be, you've just taken that from the earth. But if you were to collect it from another, let's say Mars, you go and dig up Mars, and the metals there using robots come back to the earth, you put that back down to give somebody else an opportunity to use that metal that you occupy for a bit, and utilizing that metal to go and get more metal, bring it back, it gives someone else an opportunity to craft something, to create something, to keep that momentum going, that spark that sparks someone else, that then sparks someone else. If you grab that oxygen and you converted it into carbon, and you go and grab some carbon from another world, and you can convert that into oxygen. While releasing that, you're sucking in some more carbon from the planet. You've just settled your debt. How many people are going to be able to live after you because you did that? As opposed to taking. Life is about taking. When we think about it, we take from life.
From our parents, grandparents, don't we?
Yeah, we
In
kind
a
of
way,
take.
and
It's not taking it for granted, because what do you mean when you say you take life for granted? What does that actually mean? I mean, it's a question. Well, if you analyze the question, it's, what am I taking for granted? Well, I'm taking it for granted that I may breathe in percentages of carbon, but a lot more oxygen, let's say. I breathe this in, it rushes around my body, and then I breathe out. And I'm going to do that X amount of times. How can I reverse that? Well, I could go and plant a few trees. Balance the ratio. Well, that's one thing. Or I can seek to speak wisdom and transformation with the word, so that that carbon then is not much of a debt. If that oxygen was utilized, yes, it's going to keep you alive. Okay, so that's one benefit. But if I speak and think and I put that out, then I say that that carbon has been used as energy plus the food. And when I speak something, and if it manifests later on in the future or different things like that, I've settled my debt, and I would say I've utilized that carbon ratio in a good way. In exchange, if you can get good information coming out, if you can build good systems, they've always got to look at balancing the debt. And I think with an education mindset like that, a prison mindset like that, if you go to prison, you've got to balance the score. If you take a social house, and it is literally the social house from the tax pot, it's owned by a new.gov, let's say, that's been erected for your interests, your benefits, because to look after you, you will look after us. In that type of We are looking after each other in order to... You've got social shops. That would be a new thing. I don't know any shops that are social. But built outside a train station, it sort of seems to be more convenient, as opposed to someone that's got to travel far and the train station's here, the city's over there. You got to walk this far, you got to drag all that shit back. Probably wouldn't want that arseache. I might as well go in the car. That's the logic, isn't it? Because it's closer, it's convenient. But yet, if it was on the train track, straight from the train there, the journey's straightforward, kids love it, it's a great environment. It's safe, it feels good. It's an adventure. You then go to the shop. It's more convenient to go by train than it is by car. To go by car to reach that is a bit inconvenient. It can be done, but it's a bit more inconvenient. This way's a bit more convenient. It's not forced, it's optional. Take your car if you want, or it's cheaper, take the train type thing. And then if there are houses above the shops, flats or different things with nice balconies or whatever else it may be, that can be quite a good thing. That can be quite incorporated into the system, and then rocket technology, schooling built around it. It's from one to the other, takes the burden off the roads. Which ones are easier to fix, train tracks or roads? Yeah, good question, right? That's a good question.
I think that more permanent is train tracks, because they fix it and you see it lasting for quite a bit. With roads, the potholes are there in a few years again.
Well, it would need more order when it comes to freight. If the trains stop at 11 o'clock and don't run until 4 o'clock, then that window, sometimes they put freight trains on there, but that window could be utilized to take certain stock on the journey. This one's coming from this place here to this place here. Along the journey, it's going to stop at all of these businesses. And if it just offloads what it's got from each area, that's like right on your doorstep. I mean, that's an interesting thing. Straight there, done.
Yeah, you have different depots, so as well, they can bring another coach, swap them, and refill another one or something like that. Yeah.
I don't know what that does to truckers, but I think they're still needed, but locally. So in one breath, it does get rid of the jobs, but it also creates them in another sense. What type of pay does that look like for people in these businesses? Can there be a better taxing system? It's a freaking nightmare with going limited company. Can it just be a code that's assigned to you? You type it into the till. You can turn up that day. In some of these shops, they're only temporal shops. They change every other week. For local people that maybe have a craft, a hobby, whatever it may be, would you like a go? Yes, sign up to the database. We'll call you when your ticket's ready, when you're ready. If there's 100 people in the area and 100 people have applied, then you divide that over the weeks, the week ratio. That's how long your waiting list is. If it's over 100 weeks, then it's 100 weeks. That's 2 years or whatever it may be, to just shy of. Everyone gets a turn. It was either successful or not. You don't need to go anywhere apart from give your information. That gives you a tax code. When it comes your turn, type it into the till. The till then knows who you are. Everything you've scanned through, the tax is already taken off and deducted. You haven't got to fill anything out. It does it as you go. It's basically a comprehensive taxing system, and it taxes as you go. It documents your tax books as you go, as opposed to you have to fill it out at the end of the year.
Yeah, and
it just does it instantaneously off the product, and it links what you sold, how much for, what your wages you gave. Those people were taxed instantly, automatically. When you're finished at the end of the week, you sign out, your code goes with you. And that is as easy as that. If you sell something online, punch in your code, it can automatically tax off of your... I don't think people are ever going to do that unless the tax is starting to work back around. Yes, it's got to be this comprehensive. And then, how do care homes look? Social care homes, no profit.
Oh, they have profit, but no.
Yeah, but even if you were to do it in a way that you could charge a little bit of profit, that means to expand and build and maintain.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that should go back into care homes instead of CEOs' pockets and board members and.
But rather than
and
spending it on a petty shit, do you get what I mean? Some of these places get too much money and then they have to spend it on crap because they won't get the next money next year because they got to spend it. I think that's kind of wasting in a way. Whereas if you didn't spend it, would we have to pay as much? Could that balance the books? Or better still, could that go on a different project? On something else that is more needed, that's more important? Can you donate it over to the NHS? Do you get what I mean? Do you see what I mean with that? Rather than spending it on pointless stuff because you couldn't spend it enough in a year, then you're just spending it on pointless things in the area that are not needed just so you get the next cash.
From what I remember, the care home in here in Windham, they were always, the manager once talked about it and she said that she was always backwards. So she had some plan and she had to wait for the quarter of the year to get certain amount of money, and if she needed more, she waited half a year, and then she could modernize the lounge or something because it was needed, because the carpet was really bad or something like that.
You see, that backwards approach, if you had to make certain individuals and companies wait a quarter of the year for payment, you'd have been evicted a long time ago, but what, for a carpet?
That's example.
That's an example, yeah.
Yeah, but that was...
So that means that people have to live in less than humane conditions because you wouldn't expect a system to operate like that. I wouldn't. That would be like waiting for school kids.
Yeah, it shouldn't, but it does because there's profit that goes into someone's pocket. Instead of going into care homes goes a little bit only. And then there is profit that goes somewhere else, away, completely away from all the structures.
Yeah, and I think it should be built with gardens inside, whether they're part computerized or whatever else, sealed up, and they just got to operate something that helps to dig, so that it takes the.
Yeah.
I can sow the seeds, but I can't dig. I understand you.
They have the space. It's all around care homes. There is garden, but it's not used for. And sometimes they even have gardener, and no one goes in the garden. So
I think to grow foods, like if they want.
Yeah, they could because there's space.
What do you like to do? I like to grow food. Oh, wonderful! You'll love this garden here.
They could once a year. In some of them, they did for a week something, but that's not enough, is it? To go out, plant seeds. Next week, go out, watch it. Next week, go out, see it, and in a few weeks, they pick some tomatoes or something, and that's it for the year. It's not enough. But the spaces are all around all the care homes because it was planned originally like that, to have the garden.
But that's going to need to be spot checked.
Yeah.
So the staff aren't, being too naughty. And yeah, I think that needs watching. I think it needs monitoring. I just think that we are humans that are capable of elapsing.
Yeah.
Less than perfect. So if you have it so that you go and visit these at random, anything found untoward, deal with this.
Yeah.
Or you gotta go.
Yeah.
Or you're arrested depending on the severity of it. And I think that staff in residential homes as well should have more time rather than just be work.
You have to run.
It should be a bit more a bit more time to be able to have a few days worth of that work ethic and a few days where they are, if they want it, or you find somebody else and have part-time caring in that way, where you alternate the shifts. We have people that come in. But I think it works better if it's the staff members that are able to sit down on some days, you know, just to take a load off after rushing round. They can still help, yes, but more so it's to engage, it's to talk, it's to sit down and have a cup of tea and chat. You know, I think that's important, and it's not a place to burn down if they feel that they can do some things. What do you want to do? Well, I feel like I could probably work here. Why not? If you want. I would like to go for a walk. Where would you like to go for a walk? Oh, here and here. All right, let's go. Anybody else? It's having a service that is there if needs be. Oh, I don't know if I can go any further. That's all right. We'll get the car. We'll bring you back in the car. That's no problem. Were you sure? Yeah. Go on. After all, that's what this payment is for, isn't it? At the end of the day, you're paying for it. One way or another, you've paid for it. And, you know, you might not need a pension, but that, if it came back that way, that would sort of seem like a pension, wouldn't it? That would be... This is pretty good. This is a bit like Butlins, this.
Just
So,
being
yeah.
able to freely go in the garden
Yeah.
when those people want to. At least those that are capable of it and won't, like, because they are really very confused and won't go somewhere and do something strange.
Not
Those
all
would be
are
watched,
in that
but
category,
yeah.
and it's not strange. It's
Yeah.
a element.
Yeah.
It's an illness. It's
Yeah,
something that creeps in on us, and
someone be around and around the garden. The gardener could help people with that digging and stuff like that. Instead of growing flowers, they could grow something else, or grow flowers this day and otherwise have something else.
my only concern with that, if you employ a gardener, is it starts to get expensive after a while. This price is always so. I would probably
They have gardeners.
yeah, I would probably incorporate more along the lines of something that can dig for you, just to get that surface layer up. Some type of technology that is capable of doing that. I mean, it's not great in the world, but at the same time, this is very valuable information. It's all about preparing for the next step. So in order to prepare for the next step, you're going to need things that can dig. You're going to need enclosed farms. It's probably not the best idea to do it in that environment, but somewhere along the lines, half and half, maybe, sort of part garden enclosed, a bit like an arcade in a... You know, if you can... That gives you something when it's absolutely honking it down with rain. You've still got the robotic farm that's enclosed. It mimics a space environment, let's say. It's enclosed, nothing in, nothing out. Only if it redlines. And whilst you're sat indoors, if it's someone in a residential home, can they play around with that bit? And is it enough for that particular area to move? Because you're following the pattern of this. Can it be easily taught? That this area here is these, they might need just dropping over with watering, and the robot sort of does it. Because then what you're doing is you're teaching that system information based on real-time data from a person, which technically is programming the system. Do you get that? Just by them operating it. You can't get access to it, you can't get in it, it's just merely an experiment, and there's, you know, if there's a house of 50 people in it, then it's this particular area is divided up into 50, and then you've got the enclosed one versus the open one that you got your digging and if you want to go out. It's good, but I like getting my hands dirty, just not when it's pissing it down with rain. And I get to a certain age myself, I might not want that. So, and again, how can this support you? How can this support society? And going forward, how can this support the next generation? Well, it's putting some steps in. What do we know about space farms? No, not a lot. Oh, actually, yes, we do. We got this stuff here. We've got all of this data as well. Fucking hell, it's been filling up. It's that into that account. a quantum account that you're just preparing yourself and you're setting yourself up for success. And if you got it with schools and different things like that as well, that prepares the mind. And especially if you got to look at it today, technology, how far is it? I mean, it's such a problem, isn't it? Everyone's saying that they're going to start banning kids on phones. It's like, do you know, it's that successful, right? You can say that that's successful, and you can also say it's detrimental as well at the same time, right? Whichever way you look at it. But you do see that, yes?
Yeah.
So where do you think the next generation are going? Because I can assure you the generation that are on mobile phones and different things like that, to be put inside a residential home without this shit, I don't know. That's more of a pretty... They've got to be able to get ahead of the curve, and that's the bit. So if you notice that people that are doing farming online on the apps, I often watch people and they're like, oh, I got to get to my farm. What the actual... And no one's built this yet? No one's built this real life yet?
Yeah, my mom loves to play that, and she played Settlers and stuff like that. That's exactly what...
You've got to mix it in with what you hear, right? So I was reading a lot of comments. They're a little bit disheartening, and I like to make things happen for people where it takes that... I love to take that... They wish for something, and I want to make it happen. Do you get that? Where any way I can, feasibly, whether it's talking, whether it's inspiring change. That's what I like to do. So when people say, I was watching it on some of these comments. I like to watch the comments. I don't like to participate in many of them, and when I do, I will whatever. But I like to read them. I like to see where people flow with it, and I also like it when companies write back. Yeah, where you get that sort of. It's interesting. Some people like books. I like this because it's real life. And the one theme that I noticed people were saying was, I know I wasted my time for the past 2 hours, but I did enjoy this game really much. I wish I wasn't wasting my time, but it killed time, they say. And then I sit there and think to myself, I wish I wasn't wasting time. Now how can I make your gaming into benefit? How can we make this so it supports a society that's developing, and then you've got to look at next step. So we got a current step now, and it feels great, but there is this sense of guilt when you've played a game and you're like, this shit me a week's gone by, or maybe a month, and then it's like, oh fuck. Do you get what I mean? Like perhaps on a device and an hour's gone by, and before you know it, an hour over a course of a freaking hour, year, or then it's 2 hours, then maybe 3. And you feel like it's such a waste of time, but it isn't. It isn't a waste of time when you're connecting with friends. I get that. But when playing a game, it sort of seems that the mood is hinting that the next chapter in gaming is going to move over to people are going to stop playing it because they feel like they're wasting their time. Or life. Which you could argue that that's a good thing. But at the same time, what do they have else? Because there's a hidden question in that. There's a hidden answer and a question and a mindset in that. They don't know what they want to be. They're lost. It's almost on the verge of being broken. I don't like it. It's so disheartening to see that, and especially if it's youngsters as well. They don't often know what to say to associate what they're feeling. So it comes out in... They got a sort of idea, but not quite the... It takes a few years, and then you look back and then you're like, So how can you move that industry where it's working for humanity and it's not a waste of time? It becomes one of the most valuable... Well, you look at it and you think about those farming games. Can you make it real? How much desert is there? What are we doing with the desert? Not a lot. Should we convert it into farms? Why? Well, because loads of people will be playing on these farm games. But really, they're going to be playing on this. Wait, what? Yeah, I know. There's lots of this place that we don't use, isn't there?
Yeah, for different things you can do.
can we encase it? Can we, do this? How do we cool that down? Can we take it to somewhere cold? Move it there and see how it fares up? Can we pressurize it, depressurize it? Well, why is that? Well, the thing could explode if it overpressurizes. So, we got some of this technology that we're going to use. We also want to insulate it, which then creates jobs. All right, it's just collapsed a load of jobs in this one, but it's also now generating jobs that start to move towards alignment of space. Do you see the transition will be so smooth?
But because there is transition, it's never like all jobs disappeared.
Yeah.
Because it starts here, there, then this company can afford it, this company can afford it, and then it slowly becomes cheaper for smaller and bigger and whatever, and then it moves.
So, who's who in this situation? Our corporations don't give a shit? It's not all of them? It's some? Is it that there are some slack governments and they don't put this money back into the pot? But then it's not all, it's some? Then you've got to ask yourself the question, okay, who is going to be able to create something that gets this shit done? Because who needs to be able to make these games that then support these rockets, which then go up to support space? Then how are we going to be bringing the resources back to share among a lot of people? You got to understand it, okay? And it's not me being bad-mouthing to corporations, not all of them, but some of them. I'm going to look at the worst-case scenario, and I'm also going to look at the worst-case scenario on both sides. At the end of the day, whatever. Who's who? Corporation is only going to support the people that are working underneath it. Anybody else outside of that jurisdiction? It isn't. As much as you think it is, it's technically not. It's a very small umbrella of people that it's protecting. You got to understand that. The people that work there and the people that buy the product from it.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's supporting perhaps somebody on top who's getting a lot of money for it. Now, what their agenda is to save money, to become a millionaire, to a billionaire, to a trillionaire, to this a million. I don't know how that works when you start fizzling out money. Does it knock-on effect over here? Which I think it does. But likewise, at the same time, we're going to need comprehensive system. One that works for the people, because the more people that you've got underneath your umbrella, and the more people you're supporting in work, in fairness, the umbrella then begins to protect you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and everybody underneath that umbrella. That's what the protection's all about. So, if you understand it this way, that if you've got water, houses, energy, rockets, education, prisons, businesses and social businesses that you can offer, and this is all under a gov, which is you the people gov, that this system will need to be held into place. Why? Because it needs to work. What for? You, and at all intervals on your journey. And what it needs to do is be a guarantee to the next generation that it is also going to work for them in two ways. One, it's going to set them up, not to fall, but to success. It's going to fit the blueprint of life, which is what? Well, we can't stay here on the planet forever. It's got to set up for that. There's got to be some sort of journeying over toward that. Resources, it needs to look at what are we doing now, and how can we make that thrifty? That the energy that we're using now, how can we bring this back in? Because that's about the balance, isn't it? And then when we begin to lock up all of these things in the future, you start to bring all of these things together. You then got energy, you understand how that works. Can you make the energy work in space? Yes, no, maybe, could do. Wonderful. Rocket technology, is it good, is it bad, is it shit? Can it develop? You've got energy that falls into that you could understand with nuclear power. You could understand that. Make something very big and hot. great big elephant foot, not great on planet, but good in space, perhaps around some modules which are protected. You want the heat, you want the light. Can plants grow off of it? We're not the only ones that need to adapt in space.
Mm-hmm.
You see, adaptions are all about you and how you're going to evolve, yes?
Mm.
And the one thing I would be asking is, how the fuck is nature going to evolve? That's one question that we often overlook. We often overlook it because we're too busy focused on us. We're going to evolve, we're going to evolve, we probably want to find out how nature's going to evolve first, right? Because if that don't work and it doesn't adjust to it, that's a bit of science that we're very new to. What grows really well in space and what doesn't? What works? How do bees function in space? How do animals adapt in space? It sounds pretty weird, but could you imagine that? Taking a cat to the moon with you. Sounds really weird, doesn't it? It sounds absolutely barbaric, but again, it's got to adapt too. You're going to take a load of stuff with you when you go there. Nature. If you travel to the moon and you're going to look into it and dig it up, can we make technologies then that are solar powered? That can go on the moon?
Yeah.
Excavators, diggers, movers, burrowers, moles. When we make artificial gravity, how are we with magnetic technology? Can we make a module? How does living in space work? It works on NASA, let's say. Can it work for anything else? Can we get real estate there? Can we get farms that go around? Can we get farms that go around the moon? Can we start sending rockets now and then in 20 years' time, the first payloads start coming? Then after that, it's coming every other day, every other hour, payload after payload after. Can you imagine that? Sending one rocket's worth of fuel from the Earth, and let's say it makes, I don't know, 50 pounds worth of hydrocarbons. Send it off to Jupiter. It sucks in the gases from Jupiter's atmosphere, or Saturn's, it doesn't matter. With enough of that gas sucked in, that it can go back to the Earth and back to Jupiter again and refuel. And again 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 and again, without ever using any gases from the Earth. All it ever needed was that first initial push up. It was constructed and then it was sent. Could you imagine making 50 of those rockets, 1,000 of those rockets, 100,000 of those rockets, bringing in, with the first payload that comes back, enough to make, again, the same amount of rockets that you've just utilized. The gases that were sent to get it up into the atmosphere, low Earth orbit, and send it on its way, let's say, is bringing in metals that are so great, and resources that we don't know about. You've never discovered yet, let's say. Water. Collecting it, using it, dirtying it, and filtering it.
Bring helium.
And keeping this in a system. What's the limit? How many, I mean, when we look at some of these forests in America, they're massive, aren't they? They're huge. Yeah. Could you imagine making that? Recreating that? Because that's the type of size you got to think about, and then where you're going to get that metal from, and makes Jupiter's core look very tempting, doesn't it? Any metals that you find, moisture. Even if you don't know what to do with it, at least if you got the moisture from these, let's say, planets or whatever, and we mix a few of the gases together from the planets, I'd ask another question. Can you take any gases from Jupiter and start pumping it onto the moon? With the moon, how long would it take to hold on to that gas? What happens if you add gas? Can you mimic pressure? All right, it might not last for very long. Can you suck in a load of gases from a planet and dot these along the way? So if you ever needed to refuel at any time, you could. Sending these payloads back like freights on a ship or a cargo ship's worth of this stuff. Sending bits out to mine. But whilst you play a game, it's technically a robot on the moon doing what you can do here. I mean, this would be great fun for kids. And if they grow up with that mind inspired with that, and I think what else could they go on to create? They already know they can do it because it's already done. They've already done it in their childhood. You know, with that anchoring the elephant to the stake, you know that works in two ways, don't you? Where you can anchor the elephant to the stake and it tries to pull on it when it's younger, and then when it gets older, it could bust that stake but doesn't bother because it give up because it tried it when it was young and it didn't succeed. You can also do this with good things. Anchor yourself to positive things that keep you anchored around good things, as opposed to trying to stop you from moving. It also keeps you from maneuvering away from your center. Do you get what I mean? If you find a good center in yourself, anchor yourself to it. You don't want to. You may orbit slightly out, but you'll always guaranteed to come back and orbit nonetheless. It's that new center that you've got. I mean, it's detrimental in one way, because in behavior, someone was talking about this once, Kim, and it's true, yes. But when you think about it, you can also anchor yourself to good behaviors as well, which you should, so you don't stray too far away. You're only human, and the inevitability is to pull you off course. You want to stay grounded. You want to veer away, but always come back to your center. I think that's wobble, but don't fall down. And when you do fall down, because that's life, you got to get back up. I think that's the main thing in this, is you've got to get back up. And I think that to be realistic, that this type of a system needs to be honest, that you're going to make mistakes. Things are going to go piss up. But there's one guarantee: we'll always find the right path again, quickly and faster, and get quicker at it, not to stray away. You know, it seemed that when we were in a social country with social water systems, which is what we had, social energy, social housing, this country worked a little bit better. It's what built the infrastructure up.
Yeah.
Then it got privatized, and it was then emphasized on social, because someone knows that if it ever went back to that social state, that it would deplete their empire, and they're holding on to money, and that could be seen that way. I'm not saying that it is, but people protect their interests ferociously. Do you get what I mean? They really protect something, and even if it means telling you the opposite to destroy the narrative. It may have been sold for particular reasons and so forth and so on. But was it infiltrated? Was the system infiltrated? And it was sort of lectured out. And that is something that needs to be learned and brought back into main orbit. And lessons need to be learned from that. A new sort of draft on that. Build a business of however you want. Do this, this, and this however you want. This structure? No. The kids depend on it, this depends on it, you know. The only way it should break is if it's not working. And if it doesn't work, then something's not right. Then it needs to change, something needs to evolve, something needs to be looked at. But the structure itself should be it. Because if we do move over to space, do you get what I mean? It's like a whole new... What do we need to learn about? Mold. We need to learn about cleanliness. We need to learn about what you can and can't do inside the module. You can't go drilling into the fixture. That makes sense. Magnets work really well. Yeah, that sort of... That shit is not good. If you go drilling in the side, you could kill everybody on the ship, yeah? That makes sense. Fail-safes need to be learned. Farming, mold, utilizing waste products. So water. Wastewater needs to be recycled and reused. You can't go chucking away when you leave. Because we're on the earth, we think that everything is discarded, buried, bodies. You know, when you pass on. So it's easy to think. And it's a subject that no one wants to look at. What? And you never know, it could revolutionize the way we see the tool process. Once the tool is utilized, the body, it has to be recycled. and there is a lot of crystal content left at the end. To stop impurities from making their way back in too much to things, you notice a rise of crystals. And whether you like to admit it or not, bones are crystals. They're a byproduct. Do you notice that it's an extraction process, that the bone would be looked at as a diamond in a way? The extraction process, that's what's left. So you get a lot of crystal, a lot of crystal, a lot of crystal. You don't want to... There is another way that crystal can convert all of what you've got, the nutrients and everything else, into a large structure of crystal, bones. Basically, you can convert most of what you've got into bones. That's crystal content. Finding a way to utilize that, and it sounds absolutely horrible because no one ever wants to think about it, but there needs to be something done with the bone ratio. How can you convert that to go back in? How can you break this down? What can this be made into in a safe way that then can be put back into the system and become a self-fulfilling prophecy? I think life forms, when they get to a certain evolving point, you need to learn how to deal with the crystal content. So we can look at salt as a crystal content from water, and you purify water by removing salt. Can't drink the salt, but you can eat it on a meal, which is very beneficial. But drinking salt too much, salt water, not good for you. So you understand then that there's a high level of crystal content. When you're using water and different things like that, you will build up very quickly a crystal content. Then it over crystallizes, and when it does, that then poses problems on your craft. Learning it now is something that is fundamental, yes? Don't want to learn it when you're half traveling, or the life forms that begin to leave the planet then start to travel and then notice that there's a crystal content, and then they do a quick calculation and they understand that they don't have enough resources on board to make it to the next star system to replenish, because the crystal content is building up and you are converting everything that you have into crystal. Yeah? So you need to figure out a way to convert the crystal back into nutrients, which is quite a hard thing to do once it's changed. There's a way. But even still, you have to look at things like that, the fundamental. Even though you can purify water, if you've got a product that is being left behind, and then you're like, oh, okay, we've got this bit, but we're going to chuck this bit. Or this person's now passed on, we're going to jettison their body out of the craft. And you keep doing that. Again, you'll run out of resources to do so because you've jetted it all out. Then if you collect this and you break it down in a correct way, dehumidify, do this, the X, Y, Z, find a way to make it into something that can recycle that and convert it back into nutrients when it dies off. This is a better way. And bone content as well. What can it be made for? What can it be made into? Without knocking the balances too much. Because if not, it becomes a crystal structure is all that's left. You know that? Life forms that continue on make crystals. Crystals that are knocked out are for your benefit. If crystals were all melted down on the planet and mixed into water, life wouldn't work. It becomes too toxic. It's a very strange thing, but it's like taking all of the salt crystals from around the world and putting them into the ocean and dissolving them back in. You probably understand that the Dead Sea is in, where everything floats. This is the sort of outcome. Too much salt, not a good thing. So when you store it in crystals, it's temporary, it's out the way. But at the same time, if you lost a lot of moisture, you would be left with a lot of crystals, right? And if there's a lot of you and you were salt drinking creatures, let's say, and there was no fresh water and you weren't relying on fresh water, the more humans were being born, the more water they would hold on to. So when the population, let's say if they're hovering around the planet and they're drinking salt water, they would only be able to, let's say that water was only enough to support 9 billion. And they're now hitting 10 billion. In order for them to sustain life, they have to hold on to the water. So now they've reached their envelope, their limit. And what's left on the planet is crystal. In order to extract this more purer life, more better living quality, they would have to purify, which then means crystallize and remove the impurities, and then you notice that the water gets lesser and less the more you've removed something out of it. Same way, if you've got a little bit of liquids and you add to it, there's more content. But it appears to be more content. It's actually not. It's an illusion because it's got impurities in it. And when you remove the impurities, you're left with a smaller volume of water, which then tells you you're limited to the amount of life forms that you can have. Interesting. So bone structure is crystal structure, and it should be like looked at as a waste product of your existence. Your bones linger. So if bones take over 1 million years to break down naturally, do you see how very quickly you can have a lot of generations rise up? That's a running, growing bone collection. And then you're left with a lot of skull and bones, collarbones. And when you get a lot of these bones, that's what you convert into. Do you understand that? If you don't break them down? But how would you think the best way to deal with bones would be?
Cremation? Burn them?
Almost, yeah, it's close enough. Volcanoes on the planet, yeah, so it moldens in and regenerates. That. It's one of the most underrated processes on the planet. Volcano. The repurification process is the planet's version of purification on the planet is volcano. Isn't that weird? So without it, you see, it's one of these things that's quite overlooked. And how do you regenerate that? Well, you could look at that as nuclear activity. Does it break it down? What's the waste product from there? Can you mimic Earth's mechanism? And even then, it's not 100%. But without it, it would be a lot more. It's a mixing process. So if dinosaurs ruled the Earth and there was a lot of them and life could sustain there being a large amount of them, and without this rejuvenating process, you would be left with a planet of not just soil. Soil is a byproduct of plants. But you'd also be left with bones. You'd have a bone island, a bone planet. They'll be very common in the universe. I bet you any money that you might not find remnants of life, but I think you will find boneyards. If a planet shuts down, you'll find a lot of bone. It'll over-crystallize, and that's a crystal remnant of life, is bones. Another one's fossil. So it's one of those processes that is still not quite figured out just yet. And it's one of those ones that not really, people probably don't want to look at it. Yeah, you don't realize it until you take your species off the planet. And then you start to put them in a craft. And then you start to look at what you've got. Well, they take this much nutrients. Yeah, I got this nutrients back, but now I'm left with this calcium. What can I do with this? Where can this go? How do I deal with this? Because if I over-calcinate everything, it poses problems. It leads to impurity. Do you see why space travel requires you to evolve to lose bone density? That's one of the greatest things about space travel. The universe always knows how to look after you. But even still, on the adjustment phases, it's not fast enough. Mimicking that. So do you understand why when there are problems and to-do about calcium deficiency on spacecrafts at the moment? That your bone density is predicted to not work as well and be a bit more malleable, perhaps?
Yeah.
Do you ever wonder why things have to evolve? You see, you could be fighting it as humans. You could fight it because you're intelligent. And you could probably make it so that you drink more cow's milk or Calcium is not going to be a byproduct probably halfway through, but if you don't get your lid on it before you go, boneyard. Do you know that?
I don't know.
You'll also shrink. Well, fuck me, what are you going to be judging yourself against if there's nothing around? You're traveling to another star system, you're going to shrink down. But how bigger do you think your brains will become as a result of that?
Don't know.
Do you ever think that the brain is limited to the skull limits the brain?
Yeah, but it protects it as well against.
Yeah, I understand that it protects it. I totally appreciate that.
damage.
So you understand then that for every protection, there's a limit added. There's a limit imposed to what you can do.
Maybe in space there's less pressure, so the skull can get bigger. Maybe.
So do you think you have bones to protect you from gravity?
To protect from injury.
Injury from what? What's the most common?
If you fall and
So
you
that's
hit your
gravity.
head.
So bones to protect you from gravity?
Mhm.
Well, if you didn't have bones and you fell over and you were a blob, you would
Like octopus. It's blob,
you'd
isn't it?
pop like a pea.
You
But if you were in space,
would have to be flexible. If you're flexible, nothing happens.
it's very interesting. It's so hypocritical, isn't it? Pressure versus no pressure versus crushing of space, but yet it's more gentler than gravity. Oh my days, it's so. But bones is definitely something to get a lid on because it takes time to evolve.
Yeah.
Which in the beginning you'll be more like to hover around planets, but drop down, hover around, drop down, hover around, drop down. You remind yourself of bees to a hive. It'd just be a planet instead, would be the hive. Interesting. And bringing things back, payloads back. They use that nature process. Nature teaches. You know, the way things corkscrew down?
Yeah.
The way it falls gently.
Okay. Takes
no.
time, but it comes, yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway, I'm going to leave this one here because, you know, I wasn't planning on doing this today. I was going to do it tomorrow, but I'll probably go into this a bit better tomorrow. But for now, that's just where I'm throwing all that sort of stuff out. Yeah, my fascination right now is bone matter.
Yeah.
It's a problem. A big one.
Evolution will solve.
Say again.
Evolution will solve it.
Evolution always wins.
Oh, that's good.
If you give it enough time to activate, and if you work with it, always. Knows more about your journeying. It makes you wonder where it gets that information from, though, doesn't it? It knows to evolve you, and for what reason is that? Well, if it takes about 80 years to get to a star system, and it's a load of shite in this garden, you're going to need to go to the other one, so that's going to be 160 years, 200 years. You're going to live a lot longer. Interesting. Traveling on to the next star system, and it knows, hang on a minute, we're going to have a bone issue. When you just take a look at the catacombs, right? That's impressive, yeah? Can you imagine a whole planet full of that shit? Then we go dinosaur. Then we go life forms before dinos. A lot of the record is lost in the churning process. So the more advanced life form would have less bone. Well, unless they worked with it and sort of had some sort of cartilage, maybe. It is cartilage, isn't it?
Yeah. Or exoskeleton or something like that. That's light. Doesn't need calcium.
Do you think if humans ever turned into round blobs,
Mm.
they'd try and fuse each other?
Maybe.
You'd clone yourself, teach
Yeah.
two of your clones, one goes off that way, one goes off this way, and smash them back together again. Bring a whole new meaning to the word genius. We just splice yourself. This is possible. Splice yourself in multiple splices. Right. Terry number 1 out of 50. You're going to do geography. Terry number 2. You're going to do history. You're going to do fucking science. You're going to do woodwork. You're going to we'll meet back up in a year. How's your exam? Pretty good? Oh, wonderful. How's yours? Pretty shit? That's all right. It's just me. You get a collection of all of these Terrys with all these degrees, and then we're all going to just start running into each other. So we fuse back together again. Do I take the knowledge with me? I should fucking hope so. Boy, this gets a bit more freakier then. It's not really freaky. It's fascinating, I'd say. But you can divide yourself in multiple, and then just cram yourself back together after a year. I mean, how much would you have learned?
I do it.
You'd all be jack of all trades, wouldn't you? I mean, that would be interesting, right? To be able to fuse yourself together. Separate yourself, throw yourself back. It'd be fascinating. But I don't think you get there when you're all fragmented. But if you're all together and you build a system that doesn't support people, it indirectly supports people. This supports evolution, to evolve with these systems and hold on to them, because it props people no matter who you are, male, female, race, religion, whatever. It's got you. Kids, grown-ups, adults, elderly, the system has got you. I mean, that would be quite a proud life to live. And the potential is everywhere, in any direction. And then when the kids grow up, they look at this system and think, you know what, I want to put into that. I want to find something to prop into this. Because if you've got kids that are growing that are selfless and want to add more to the structure, as opposed to have money, I don't know, to be propped would be better. Money as well, I suppose, I guess if it works, but to leave a lasting legacy like that is going to go on to help other people the same way you've been supported by the structure, I think this gets a lot of pots cooking. Gaming that is moon-based, plant-based, under-ocean-based. It's like an interactive game that's real. It's real life, but it's a game. Traversing down in the ocean, having a look and trying to make discoveries. The more you've got going down there. I mean, it seems like it's quite a thing to do. And then when it runs out of energy, it just floats back up. It's got a solar panel over it, and then it sits bopping on the ocean for a bit until it charges up. Then maybe it can maneuver to a charging dock somewhere and just sit there and float, and then someone comes online, off it goes. I mean, that would be interesting. Farming, that's another one. Moon-based, that's a lag. If you go further, it's even more laggy. It'd be nice to have a nuclear engine that's around all of the planets. Small one, not very big, not terribly massive, with a load of probes that rendezvous with the nuclear engine to get their power charged up, and they can orbit around Jupiter in most ways possible, orbit the moons, but all day, every day. While one's charging, the other one's scouting, it comes back for a charge, this one's already left to take off where the other one... Then you've got one on every single planet. I mean, then can you upgrade it from that nuclear engine to send a few more probes that are capable of landing and knocking back off the moon again? Up, down, get close-ups. What's that strange bit over there? Let's send something down, it moves this. It kind of works. That's a bit of metal there. Oh, okay. Log it, stick a flag in it and a pin. That's on the database. That is worth getting. Can we get it now, unmanned? Sending robots, different things like that? After all, you're putting that pin down for the future generations, aren't you? Perhaps you can't get it on that particular time, but you're mapping it. So it can come at a later date. And this gives a lot of scientists, what's toxic, what's not. How do these metals respond? Should we know toxicology before we bring them back? Should we know how these gases are going to respond first? Should we know how toxic they are, potent? Are they beneficial? Do they support life? Do they degrade it? How does it respond in this environment? Put it into a farm somewhere, see how it responds. Does nature hold up to that? Did it shut down? Oh, okay, that's a bad experiment. Let's send that away. It didn't work for whatever reason. Okay, we learned that it's detrimental to this, and this, Oh, shit, it was beneficial. Look at the size of these fucking strawberries. Yeah, these things can happen, These things can definitely happen. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I think I'm going to leave it there for a bit. I think I said a little bit. Sort of touched upon something else that I've been thinking about is bone structure, density, and evolution. I'm just kind of fascinated with the way it knows before you go. Like it's already done this journey before, which it has multiple times. The force that's it's gonna know how to design your body better than you could ever imagine. I mean, that's impressive. And I think it makes you stop at those interval moments and just think, how does it know? We've established who, but we're now trying to figure out how. What do you say? Already walked the journey. Seems weird, doesn't it? It probably sits there rubbing its metaphorical hands together going, finally! I got something to work with now. I don't get to work very often, but I've got something now. Which then can be looked at as a real pain in the arse. And then you come across a planet, and then you have to be reintroduced back to gravity again, and you get it. You learn it. You wax in, wax out, wane in, wane out. While you're here, evolution has done what it needed to do on the planet. But then when you go away, and it breaks down your bones, let's say, makes you look completely different. Then you rendezvous with another planet after X amount of years of being in a globular state, let's say, for argument's sake. A fucking hand. You turn into a hand on blobs. Yeah? How's that? 4 hands. Wonderful. And it serves a purpose until you get to point A, and, people know no different because they're born into it. And then you rendezvous with a planet. It's got gravity, looks a little bit like Earth. Sort of smells like it too. It's got the same ingredients as once old Earth had, but it's slightly different. And then you begin to go down there, figuring out gravity bit by bit, reintroduced. And once again, evolution is like, finally. You know what? I'm going to build all the things that I couldn't build on Earth. Because it worked. I didn't need to activate. I'm only allowed to activate when you do something. You go, I go. You go again, I go again. You go, I go. You go, I go. So I'm going to give you the most best things that you've never experienced before. I always wanted to give you this on Earth, but couldn't, because that would be against the rule. But now you acted, I can do something. Then what's the possibility of how you could look? Then people back then would look back to times now where people used to criticize the way people looked, and now people look very different now. Blobs. Do you get what I mean? Like fucking blobs with hair. Look like spider. How was that? That's good enough. With hands instead. Yeah, anyway, it's a possibility that you'll look like that. Especially going to become lighter. It's great for fuel, especially if you make a craft. You know, you build all these big, bulky spacecrafts, and then people will be looking at them going, hey, we're getting close to this new planet system, you know. We better check out all the old tech that we've got. Who the fuck were they building these spacecrafts for? Giants? If you're a blob, right, and you're in that, you're like trying to get in a cockpit where you needed feet. I can't reach the pedals in here. If there are pedals, you know, just... Alright, we better redesign all of this then. God, humans really used to look like that? God, I didn't think we changed that much. Did you see that? That would be quite the thing. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? How do you think it would appear to you in your mindset? It would look alien in nature, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It'd also be fucking awesome, because I think the brain would develop a lot more. More data, more knowledge. It needs to expand a bit bigger. So even if you did come back to the Earth after being globular, we're going to have big heads. They're going to expand capacity. There was a time on the Earth when the brain used to be limited by the skull. But not this time. We're going to make a new type of skull. It's going to be really good. It's going to be really awesome. But this time the brain gets the expansion ratio. You know, see? So you're limited now to what you can develop into. It just kind of works. So keep it. Then you do something, there's a change. That will work. Nice. Things will really play around. Then you go back into a planet? Then things are going to change again? Not straight away. After time. You evolve into it. But even still, the things that then more bits are being learned of what works, and then you start to become a clock together of all these things that really work. Whereas if you'd have just stayed on the Earth, you'd have been very limited to a certain type of form. You can evolve, yeah, but not quite past that ratio, right? Do you honestly think that you can evolve further on your planet?
I don't know.
Or do you think if it's quicker, if you evolve into some form that's a bit unknown and then evolve back into a current form, you know that in that time without bone there's going to be energy, so what's that energy going to develop into? Is it going to develop into bigger brain capacity? Yes. Is the heart going to weaken? Perhaps. Does it need to beat as fast? Maybe not. How does this look for life expectancy? Are you going to gain an extra 200 years, 300, 400 years? You see, then that seems absolutely barbaric, like nutty, mental. The more closer to objects you get and further away you get, there's changes. Yes, some are detrimental if it's too quick. Like, I wouldn't advise going too close to a star unprotected. Bit by bit, bit by bit, bit by bit. You become hardy to it, space ready. You don't need to become space ready here when you are surrounded by a magnetic field that protects you anyway, right? That's a waste of energy. There's no need to protect you from that because this works. So it doesn't mean that evolution is not capable of doing that. Sure, there's a lot of trial and error at that. That really lets you know what you know anyway. So, was there a time where there wasn't a magnetic field as strong on the planet? Well, humans generate a magnetic field. It's weaker, but I would look at that as yes, perhaps humans somewhere along that chain or somewhere along those building blocks, something survived outside a magnetic field. Doesn't mean that you ought to go and try and survive outside a magnetic field for too long, but bit by bit, and it would activate that. I'm pretty sure. So you would have your own northern lights around you if you interacted with high energy particles. And what happens to those after that? Who knows? Maybe the body can find a way to utilize this. Seems like it already did. Interesting. But whether it was done here, And you see those building blocks depending on where they've come from. Some evolved here. Yes, maybe some came from out there. Maybe there was a change over there. Perhaps a load of meteorites rendezvoused at the same time. And these building blocks come together and helped with the evolution of where maybe monkeys or dinosaurs or wherever reptilian and evolved into this way. Your temples are interesting. Yeah, temples are fascinating. These are very good sensors. Or they were. They're not so much anymore. These. Interesting. Do you ever wonder what these are for?
Yeah.
Or what they were for?
Yeah.
You see, there's two things with this whole thing in life with evolution. I know you're getting a bit bored with this.
Yes, yeah.
Is one, is it potentially going to be something?
Yeah.
Or two, was it something? Temples. Sensor plate. These are sensor plates. A very, very good piece of technology right there. And it hasn't made up its mind one way or the other what it's going to do with these yet. So there's possibly a change, and maybe there won't be, but we'll see. All in good time. Right, I'm going to leave this one with you because, yeah, you're getting pretty bored with this. And, yeah. I'm not. You are. I'm not. I like this stuff. I love it. There you are. I'm going to leave it there. Oh, crikey.